Okay, I believe we're live. Welcome to the channel. This is Wes, and today we're going to do a Star Wars live stream, and I have a nice panel with us today. First I'll kick it to Pele. How are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad. It's about 11:20 in the evening here. I believe everyone else is in America, so it's nice and early for you guys.
Oh, where the hell are you? 11 in the evening. What is that?
I'm in the Philippines.
Oh man, awesome! I was in Manila once. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I retired here about 15 months ago. So
awesome. That
right.
Sounds great.
Next we have Sgt Bats. He's got his own YouTube channel. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's 7 in the morning here in California, and it's not sunny. It's raining.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, the Doktor's with us too, but I believe he's taking care of some business. So last but not least is my old military buddy, James. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you? It's about 10:20 here in the D.C. area.
Yeah, nice. You're working for the man in D.C.?
Yeah, I think I'll be working for the man until the man finally kills me.
That's how it goes. So let's start with James. So when The Force Awakens came out, you and I went, I believe, opening day. We went to the movie, and afterwards I was more optimistic about the future of the Star Wars universe at Disney. You were pretty pessimistic. You're like, why is there a 15-year-old girl defeating a Force user with no training, amongst other things, and subsequently I've had to eat a lot of crow. So what are your thoughts on the current state of the Star Wars universe, man?
Well, pretty much like I told you then, I think it's dying. As long as, large corporations like Disney keep buying up, good fiction franchises and then trying to put political spin on them, which has been, something that's been going on in the entire entertainment industry for several years now. It's just gonna keep going downhill because their focus is not on entertainment but on influence, and people don't want to be influenced; they want to be entertained. So, as long as they keep altering movies, the premise of movies and the premise of comic books and video games and everything else to away from entertainment and towards persuasion, it's just gonna be a continuing downhill spiral, I think.
Oh, but Star Wars has always been political.
It's always been for children. Yeah.
It's always been political. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Pele, you're a little bit older than me, I believe. So did you see the original Star Wars in theater?
Yeah, I did. It was one of the first movies I saw in the theater. Yeah, I was 6 years old. And
it was a big event. It was something everyone in America wanted to go see. It truly changed the cinematic experience. Being 6 years old, what were your thoughts at the time? Were you like overwhelmed?
Yeah, I was. Well, you had to understand it was kind of trickle effect. When the movie first launched, it didn't get a lot of buzz. I mean, there was, but it wasn't like everybody was packing the theaters. Mm-hmm. Then it got picked up steam, and it kept rolling. And within, I think the second launch of the film, which actually came about 2 months after the first launch, is when we saw it. And that's after all of my friends had said, "Oh, God, you got to go see this movie. It's incredible. It'll blow your fucking mind." Well, not fucking, because but they do now, but not when I was that age. But it's gonna blow your mind. And I went, and it did. It was just the vision, the imagination involved. It really captivated the country. It caught everybody up in this great idea of hope, and that a few people can make a great difference. And now, I just don't see that. It's just, it's corporatization. It's used for political. I mean, there was a political aspect to Star Wars. Don't get me wrong. You had the rebellion fighting against the evil empire, and now I can't help but see that the media industry, Disney, Lucasfilm, they are the evil empire. You know, they've lived long enough to see themselves become the enemy, the villain.
So yeah, so you've seen the new films, and you haven't been awestruck by them. Obviously disappointing. Do you plan to keep revisiting the Star Wars universe? I mean, it was the Force Awakens or The Last Jedi enough for you?
Well, The Last Jedi was the first Star Wars film I did not see in the movie theater.
Okay, so you dipped out even before I did.
Yeah, the Force Awakens I saw twice, because the first time I watched it, I was like, I think I just missed something. I mean, even the prequels were better than this. What? I'm missing something. Who's this Mary Sue chick, and why is she kicking the shit out of everybody around her? And you know, she's not. You know, I'm missing something apparently. You know, I'm an idiot, so I went and saw it again, paid closer attention, and when I left, I was like, nope, wasn't missing anything. Oh, this is fucked up. And since then, you know, I wouldn't say I'm pessimistic. I would say that, you know, I'm very black-pilled right now regarding Star Wars. I think that the 9 episodes or whatever that they're going to run, that's going to be it for the main storyline. I don't see it going anywhere else, and they've killed it. So
yeah, they've definitely killed the spirit of it. At least that's what it feels like to me. So, so Sgt Bats, you're a little bit younger than us. Your first Star Wars movies might have even been the new or the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, my thoughts is, does the George Lucas remasters count as my first?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So I came into Star Wars as a fan around '94, and I got the trilogy box set, and I watched those to death.
Yeah.
And I was allowed about an hour of television every day, so it pretty much took me a week to get through the Star Wars trilogy every week. And when the prequels came out, I thought they were fine. There was nothing that I essentially, what year was that? 99. So I was 13, 14 years old. I didn't really find anything wrong with it. However, with Force Awakens came out, I didn't really catch the Mary Sue thing until later on. My big question was, if you guys had one opportunity to have Han, Luke, and Leia, why didn't you utilize that? And then everyone would just be like, oh, well, that's the story. I'm like, well, then the story's wrong. Because if you have one chance to have Han Solo, Luke, and Leia together, use that. Don't just be like, oh, yeah, Han's not going to come back for the second one, and we're only going to show Luke for 10 seconds. You know, I know a lot of people were really like, oh no, everything is ruined. That Star Wars is owned by Disney now. And I was like, hey man, you need to relax. Like, slow your roll. They bought Marvel, and Marvel's totally great. So let's just relax. And then people were like, oh yeah, you're right, Bats. And then I was wrong. So.
Yeah, I had the same feeling as well. I was really optimistic. I was like, this is great. They totally revitalized Marvel. They made it in this worldwide brand. Just think they're going to do with Star Wars. They don't even have to revitalize it. It's still here. You know, the heartbeat is still there. The customer base is huge. The enthusiasm for it, off the charts. People are, frothing at the mouth for Star Wars. And I can't believe in just 3 movies that they were able to kill it that hard. So, Pele, could you have seen this coming? Like, how can you kill that kind of enthusiasm off like Thanos?
It really shocked me. I know that the prequels were a little underwhelming, but they still had that feel. There was still a feel to it that this was a Lucas idea. And but no, it completely sideswiped me. I didn't expect to find what happened. And then I did finally see The Last Jedi when it was on Blu-ray. I got it from Redbox and watched it. And I made myself sit through the whole thing and watch it. And I just took it out, put it back in the case, and it just sat there on the couch. And I was thinking, they've completely fucked this. There's no way to unfuck it. Luke is nothing. They destroyed Luke Skywalker.
He's a coward.
Yeah, they turned him into a hermit that wouldn't, that had no essence whatsoever of what he previously had been. And it was over, because it was Luke's story.
Mm-hmm.
And they discarded him like a piece of trash. And
crazy thing, because in The Empire Strikes Back, he knows he's not ready. His friends are in danger, and he goes to certain death willingly because he's a hero. And in this movie, he's isolated himself and never wants to be found and could care less what happens to anyone, let alone his friends.
Well, I think that Rian Johnson went out of his way to destroy him. He went out of his way to kill the character and to rub salt in the wound. And anybody that was an old fan that really loved the old characters and really appreciated the chemistry and the feeling of that old franchise, of the original franchise, he went out of his way to alienate them and to rub salt in the wounds. And it was just a mess. I couldn't help but thinking, and it's something my wife also brought up, is that it was just a huge fuck you to everybody. And
Absolutely.
That's the only way that I can look at it. He tried to show that, hey, I'm hip, I'm great, girls run the world now, and fuck everybody else. Fuck
The force is female.
Okay.
Yeah, that was that was what he was trying to sell, and I guess that's it now. That's what it is, and
So I had went and saw Jedi in Last Jedi in theaters opening night. I was really excited because I was like, okay, this is going to be the equivalency of the Empire Strikes Back of the sequel trilogy. And going in with that mindset made it all that much more disappointing. And
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had to drive 4.5 hours to see it opening week. I don't have a movie theater here where I live. And like I said, 20 minutes into, my wife looked at me and she's like, "You're not enjoying this, are you?" I was like, "No, this is terrible. I don't know what they're doing." So,
I was cringing from the get, like right when we were making like mama jokes and dropping bombs in space. I was like, what the hell is going on?
yeah, just the initial meeting, and then the weird jokes between Hux and not Finn, the other guy.
Poe.
Oh, yeah, Poe. Oh, like this is weird. So I just want to say hi. Doctor's in the house. He's finally made it. So,
hey guys.
Hey, Doctor, I think you might be the only other guy besides Pele that had a chance to see Star Wars in the theater originally. Did you see the first one in theater?
You mean New Hope?
Yes.
No, I'm not that old.
Okay.
No,
I thought you were a couple years older than me.
Yeah, I'm only 38 though.
Okay, you're 3 years younger than me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, damn.
Yeah, I'm 41.
Okay. Yeah, no, I did not get to see it in theaters. In fact, actually, I think the only one I got to see in theaters was
in Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi, yeah.
Yeah, so I saw Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So you're a lifelong Star Wars fan as well, right, Doctor?
Yeah, for the most part.
So what are your thoughts right now after seeing The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi? Like, do you have any enthusiasm left for the franchise?
Really? No. I mean, everything that made it interesting is kind of gone. The original story was spectacular. The prequels had, for as crappy as they were, they at least had the novelty of, okay, let's see how we got to the story we really like. But the rest of it ever since then has been just a massive disappointment. I mean, episode 7 wasn't, it was all right. I mean, I appreciated it for the kind of the homage to the original, because come on, let's be honest, all they did was remake New Hope.
Absolutely.
But with other characters. And so it wasn't bad. I mean, it was a nice kind of callback to the original series, to the first movie. But other than that, outside of that, I would have been fine if it just kind of ended there.
Yeah. Rian Johnson, retroactively made that movie suck terribly.
He kind of did, but I think that had a lot to do with, I mean, wasn't there stories about how he was writing that movie before they even finished?
I don't believe that for a second. I think that's all bullshit.
Okay, well, I mean,
on until they were in production of the first one.
Okay,
that's a rumor. I think it's a complete fabrication and lie.
Okay, I mean, yeah, you're probably right there.
As I understand it, JJ had actually overviewed the first 3 movies, and Colin Trevorrow, I believe that was going to do the third one. He had to get fired and had to go off of it because everything that he had done based off of what JJ had set up was this is what it's going to be, was null and void after Johnson's script was done. He didn't do anything that he was supposed to.
I'm not surprised.
But Kathleen Kennedy was extremely happy. She said, "I've never been happier to work with a director. This is my kind of director." So,
well, she's
It's the blind leading the blind.
I mean, she's pushed the social justice agenda in Lucasfilm since she took office. So, she would be excited about that. I mean, it's cultural Marxism 101. So, the men are the stooges, the women are the wise ones, and go on.
I have a theory, kind of a joke, but I have a theory why the Force is female. So, in the Star Wars universe, metachlorians are just estrogen.
Nice.
That's good.
Which explains Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Never had a higher estrogen count in a Star Wars movie.
And he was very, very pretty.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they had to give him a scar to look tough.
So funny enough, I think Attack of the Clones was the worst film until recently. But if you watch that movie and you just hit next scene every time he and Natalie Portman are together, it's not that bad.
I've never seen two people. That's one thing about him and Natalie Portman. I've never seen an actor and an actress in a romantic situation that had the least amount of chemistry. I mean, there was no chemistry. There was no pop. There was no romantic chemistry between either one of them. It was just like, oh God, he's like, well, you could tell by looking at him that he would rather be kissing Obi-Wan than her.
Yeah.
So, it's just like, oh.
Hey, in his defense, I mean, Ewan McGregor's not bad looking.
There you go.
All right. Okay.
Well, I mean, how else would you act around an angel, right?
Yeah. So I think part of that might have had to do with, I believe those are the first movies shot completely in digital and almost all on green screens. So there's like no environment around them. I was like, I think the acting environment might have been a little bit off, and they're kind of like test monkeys, like the first ones trying it. For those two specifically, it did not work out. There was no chemistry. It was rough to watch. It's really cringy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I've learned by watching Last Jedi, all Star Wars for me is kind of retroactively like, oh man, we're gonna get to Last Jedi.
yeah, it's all moving towards the end.
Yeah, my wife was commenting that how did they make a kid? Don't you have to have balls? You know.
Makes no sense. So, speaking of the Force is female, one of Kathleen Kennedy's seemingly big marks is that we're going to elevate female characters. We're going to bring down the male characters, to open up the audience so that little girls will have characters that they can look up to. James, I know that you have 2 daughters. Was it effective?
Absolutely not. My daughters are, mature and intelligent enough to ask intelligent questions. And after watching these movies, one of the questions they asked is, why is this girl so much better than all these men? What gave her this ability? What made her special? And, from watching the movie, it's obvious that nothing gave her this ability and nothing made her special other than the fact that she was born with a vagina. I mean, she has no training. She has no experience. She has no skills. There's no journey. She just goes straight from being born to being powerful. And it's,
here's what got me.
That type of message doesn't work on people with common sense.
Hang on.
It's like the whole situation. Like as soon as it's like when I realized that something was terribly wrong was during The Force Awakens when she just hops into the Millennium Falcon. She fixes everything, and all of a sudden she's flying it better than Han Solo ever flew it. And I'm just, yeah, okay.
I mean, even that wasn't the worst. When she, when her and Luke Skywalker are dueling with sticks and she defeats him, I actually got up and left the theater at that point because I was so disgusted with the movie that was like the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I couldn't take anymore.
Oh, I wish I had done that. It only got worse.
Well, that was in The Last Jedi, but I'm talking about even during The Force Awakens. It was just like, okay, yeah, all right, fine. She's kicking everybody's ass, and she's they have brought the great Mary Sue. They have brought the greatest of all Mary Sues into the Star Wars universe. It's done. It's over.
So the only thing about all that makes any sense to me is that she could fix it. Because she's been living on Jakku and she's been scavenging through empirical remains and stuff. So she probably knows how things work mechanically. But they never explain how she can fly. They certainly never explain how she can use a lightsaber.
Well, it's a starship, and she said she's never been off the planet before.
Exactly.
Okay, she could fly a speeder. She could fly a speeder. She could fly, maybe a small ship that's, just intercontinental or something that hops from one area of the planet to the other. But she's never piloted a starship before. And suddenly, boom! Okay, here. Hey, I'm behind. I'm gonna go jump to hyperspace. I'm gonna fly loop to loop everything. It's like, oh, come on now.
That's one of the things in the original film. Luke, they perfectly explain that he is a great pilot. When he meets Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan says, "I've heard that you're quite the pilot yourself." When he finally meets up with the rebellion and the rebel pilots there that knows him, introduces him and says, he's the best pilot in the galaxy. I.e., he's better than me, and I'm already part of this. And they explain that he can shoot well.
Yeah. Zapping.
It all makes sense.
Swamp, whatever, he can like hit something. Oh, I can hit that. It's not much different.
Yeah.
But So you get that idea that he's capable. He's capable of this. There's no pretext with her. It's just
yeah. He's a competent pilot. It's explained. People vouch for him through the movie. She's just competent at everything with no explanation.
Yeah.
And it all just falls. It fell very flat. Like I said, leaving the Last Jedi. Obviously, I wasn't happy with it, but I didn't actually intend to just abandon the Star Wars movie universe. I thought I would see Solo, but what really turned me off to the franchise, and the reason I haven't even watched the movie, even it's been on my TV, but I don't watch it, is the way that the creators and the executives at Lucasfilm responded to the criticism. That was the worst part to all of me.
Suck it up, Buttercup. This is going to, you're either going to like it or you don't have to watch it.
Yeah, you're scared of strong female characters. Like, no, you made a shitty movie.
That's the same thing they did with the Ghostbusters remake. If you don't like the movie, it's not the shitty writing or the poor movie quality. It's your bigotry that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah,
and so you always see that, it's just a small hate mob on Twitter or 4chan or whatever that are, it's a very small, minuscule part of the fan base or whatever. I know plenty of people that have never been on Twitter, don't go on 4chan, they don't like Star Wars. So, to my knowledge, James, you're not on Twitter. You haven't seen any of this stuff. How did you come to this conclusion that these guys are being assholes?
Oh, I came to that conclusion from watching their movie and then just reading the news. I mean, I pay attention to, what people say and, the things that they say in live forums. And, I mean, I just listen and, I get my news from multiple sources. So I'm not, affected by bias. And I form my own opinions. I can actually think for myself. I'm not a fucking NPC. So,
well, it's like the local reporter who did the review for The Last Jedi. I spoke with her, and female reporter, pretty liberal, I would say. I've talked to her several times, and her impressions of The Last Jedi was in her official review of the film. She started out with, "It was a damn train wreck." And we're talking about, she just isn't she's liberal, but she's not part of the Hollywood loop. So, and I think that's what really requires. You have to have some type of progressive lobotomy to really look at this type of film and think that it's up to par.
Yes,
it's talking in the background.
Yeah, I think that's Bats. I think he's at the gym. So, one of the things, like, I used to watch Collider every day, at least one show, normally 2 shows, and I started noticing that, like, these guys kind of seem biased. And then when I actually put on the Last Jedi review, and 60 seconds into it, not one person on their panel said it was a bad movie. I couldn't believe that any Star Wars, like, to have 6 Star Wars fans to watch that movie and none of them say this is bullshit. Like, I couldn't believe it, so I can't even trust that source anymore. So what do you guys think?
Yeah.
I mean, very few of these people have any real talent anymore. I mean, if you look at the Hollywood industry as a whole, almost all of it is a dynasty now. They're all, family members or descendants of people who have been in Hollywood for decades. And most of them are not in their positions because they demonstrated any kind of real talent or capability. They're there because they fell out of the right vagina when they were born. I mean, they don't have to live up to a standard or be held accountable because they don't have to demonstrate any skill. They've got their job for life no matter what they do. And so because of that, they don't have any ability to judge good work from terrible work.
Well, and my thing is, I think most of the critics are using their job, their position as a critic to like get into the industry. So they have to shill, because if they actually came out and said The Last Jedi is dog shit, they would lose all their access and their reputation.
Right. They get sneak previews, they get invited to parties, and they get their opinions solicited by these large, movie makers and studios. And if they're trashing them all the time, then they're going to lose that access and lose that privilege. Yeah. So naturally, they're going to say what's in the best interest of their bottom line.
Yeah, I think that look at what happened with Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, they with Captain Marvel. It's an incestuous situation that they have to toe the ideological line, and if they don't, then they're going to lose the access. They're going to lose the favor that they have with the multi-billion-dollar giants. So, and they're going to go under.
And also, speaking of that, if you want to talk about cronyism, Rotten Tomatoes is owned by Fandango, and I believe their top executive used to work for Disney.
Yes.
Yeah.
That doesn't look shady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
We're going to get into Captain Marvel. Yeah, because that's you want to see cronyism. You don't have to look any further than what they're doing right now with Captain Marvel. So,
well, I think that's pretty much all entertainment media at this point. You look at IO9. That's been a anytime that they're covering movies or films, every form of media at this point, any sort of entertainment media is actually just their backdoor way of brown nosing to the right people loudly enough so that they get a job in that industry. Nobody that's in entertainment media wants to be in entertainment media. They want to be in entertainment.
Right.
And IO9, at least 2 or 3 of their writers they sit there and shill for Marvel all day, and then suddenly they all get writing gigs at Marvel.
Right.
Evan Narcisi, Charlie Pulliam Moore. There was one other one that is the same thing. Same thing with even back in the day, even Wizard. Gareb Shamus, half the guys that were working for him wanted to get into comics. So that's why Wizard kind of fell apart, because it stopped being about just a bunch of nerd boys fanboying out over the comic stuff that they like and the stuff that they hate, and started being about their backdoor way into the industry. And it's the same in entertainment media for Hollywood as well. Kiss enough ass, you'll get invited to a party, and eventually you'll get a gig.
Yeah. Well, look at what happened. You brought up Wizard. They actually they'd huff their farts enough to come up with the idea that they could drop the price guide part of their magazine and still sell it, and they were proven wrong. It was a utility. People bought Wizard because, I'm going to read the articles maybe, but I want the price guide.
Yep.
And when they dropped the price guide, everybody's like, "Fuck this! Why am I buying this?" It's the same kind of crap that Marvel puts in their official and DC puts in their official flyers, but I have to pay for it. So
yeah,
all they're doing is sucking ass.
Yeah, you can grab comic shop news or an issue of Marvel Age back then and get the same shit.
You didn't have to pay $4 for it.
Exactly.
So if we're talking about comics now, we might as well move on to Star Wars comics. So when Disney acquired them, Marvel started publishing the new Star Wars. They wiped out the legend stuff. It's no longer canon, but everything that's come since then has been. I believe the first Star Wars comic book was well over 1 million copies. Is that right, Pele?
The first Star Wars comic? That
one
was
for Disney.
1970.
No, the one Disney did.
Yeah, it was. I think the first print of it was like 650,000, and then all the printings together was probably around 900,000 for the first issue.
Oh, some reason I thought it was 1.2 million, but still 900,000. That's amazing. That is enthusiasm. That is interest from your customer base. And right now, I believe Star Wars is like 40,000.
Yeah.
But you got to ask,
right in that range. Yeah.
But you got to ask with, Star Wars #1, between all the reprints and the massive amount of variants, because there was an obscene amount for that. Every single different retailer had their own variants for it. I'm not even talking about comic retailers. I'm talking about Hot Topic and Second and Charles and Books A Million. Everybody had a variant.
LL Bean had a copy, had a variant of it.
Exactly. They stuck it into every single store and then made a variant for it. So that 650K is so wildly, even just for the first print, is so wildly exaggerated. Yeah.
But I believe even the second print, or the second issue, was still like over 120,000.
Yeah, it's probably around 250,000.
Oh, so there was huge interest, and they have been producing such shitty Star Wars books that they've got it down to 40,000 for the main Star Wars title. How does this happen?
Poor writing, bad editing. You really can't.
Because Antos was the primary editor, right?
Jason Aaron and Chuck Wendig. That's how.
Wendig.
Yeah.
So I've read quite a few.
Motherfucker's done more damage to the Star Wars comic universe than anyone else. Wendig did. Yeah,
he was a complete asshole. So I've read quite a bit of the new Star Wars stuff. The only things I like are Gillen's Vader title and Charles Soule's Vader title. Oh, and I think this book here, Thrawn, which I think this is Jodie Hauser. It's basically her adapting Timothy Zahn's updated novel. But everything else is bad. They haven't introduced any new cool characters. I guess they want to say Dr. Aphra is like some type of superstar in Star Wars. A terrible character. So do you see enthusiasm at your shop, Pele, for the Star Wars brand right now?
No. Dr. Aphra, they tried to make into a big superstar. And, I have 3 people that order it for the pulls. That's it. I order 3 copies of each issue because I know if I order one more, it's just going to go in the bin. It's going to end up in the 50-cent bin after a year or so. What's the point? It's just not. It's not a. Oh wait. There was what was that one issue that they had where they accidentally put the internals of something into Dr. Aphra, or something like that to make it a rare error print.
Oh yeah.
Everybody got excited for that, and that was the most excitement that Dr. Aphra's ever had. So that and the Boba Fett cover.
So James, you quit actually reading comics not too long ago. Have you ever even heard of Dr. Aphra?
No, not until you guys mentioned it just now.
She's a huge superstar in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, big.
Every time I hear the name, I just think that it's Dr. Afro, and I expect this like blaxploitation character from the 70s to pop up.
That would actually be better. That would be so cool.
That would
have like Lando.
Yeah, like
Black
Black Dynamite.
Yeah.
Just Black Dynamite as a oh god, what was
Blackula?
Yes, Blackula as a doctor taking care of Vader. Much better idea.
Yeah.
So we could spitball and come up with better ideas than they are. It's just it's sad. It's really, that's how bad Star Wars comics are.
Yeah, they put like their worst writers on anything but a Vader title for some reason. And like for some reason, Jodie Hauser is their go-to Star Wars writer. She doesn't know shit about Star Wars. They're all terrible. But I don't actually play the games myself. Does anyone here actually play the Star Wars games? Is that even good right now?
I just finished playing Battlefront 2 actually on Xbox. I was quite disappointed with it because it keeps, as you play through the game, it keeps driving you towards the new movie characters like Ray and Tyler, and I couldn't even finish the game. Normally, I'm a completionist. I like to get all the achievements, but I couldn't do it with Battlefront. I played it for a couple of hours and then deleted it.
Yeah, I bought it and I've not played it. So I played the first Battlefront because all my buddies and everything like that, all my Call of Duty stuff like that, buddies, we're like, oh, we'll get into Battlefront. And no. Well, the first game I think we played probably for about 6 or 7 hours. I probably put about 6 or 7 hours in it, and I haven't even played the second, even though I bought it. So
Bats, are you?
Oh, go ahead.
Bats, are you a gamer? You play the Star Wars games? I think we lost Bats. Okay, what were you saying, James?
I was just gonna say it's a DICE game released under EA, and EA is probably the worst offender in the video game industry for putting SJW concepts into the video games. Like all of their latest releases have political themes and undertones, and it's just ruining their entire business. I don't know why they keep doing it because their game sales have declined as well. But
look at Battlefield 5. I mean, we were hardcore Battlefield players, me and my buddies, and Battlefield 5.
I'm still here. Sorry.
Yeah, Battlefield 5 is just what is it? If you don't, it wasn't made for you. If you don't like it, don't buy it. So we didn't buy it.
Right. I mean, I'm of the opinion that, if you want to talk to me like that, then fuck you. You won't get my money. I mean, you're a business, and if you keep pissing in your fans' faces, the people who are paying you, then eventually you're going to run out of money. I mean,
what I always think is really funny is that SJWs are always screeching about inclusiveness and comics are for everyone and Star Wars is for everyone. And then when someone has an opinion like, hey, I don't like this, so, well, it wasn't made for you. Well, I thought it was for everyone.
For everyone that shares your opinion.
I mean, it's terrible with video games. Like I think a lot of these publishers have bought into the lie that a lot of girls are playing video games, and so they're trying to make newer video games for a female audience, and it's a female audience that doesn't exist. Because if you go and look at all the actual studies they've done to try to, bolster their bullshit idea that girls play video games as much as guys do, almost all the games that girls play are phone games. They're Android apps or iPhone apps. So, I mean, they're pandering to the wrong audience.
So, Doctor, you have one of the most beautiful man caves I've ever seen in my life. Is it dedicated to video games as well?
Not really. I think I haven't picked up a game controller in. I think the last game I finished playing was the Deadpool game for Xbox 360.
Sounds like it was a long time ago.
Yes, it was. I bought an NES Classic and an SNES Classic, and they're still just sitting in the boxes.
Me too. I like the idea of having it.
Yes. So no, I'm not really much of a gamer. It doesn't really interest me, especially at the price point that they're talking at this point. The one thing that really killed me for interest in gaming was when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, and then I was really big into it. I loved Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I was waiting, patiently for 3 for like a decade. And then I got it. And then it only had about half the content of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And then there was a little bit of downloadable content. And I said, you know what, fuck it, fine. I'll pay the $5 for this expansion pack. And then 6 months in, they literally abandoned supporting it because of the tsunami in Japan. Waited another 3 months and released Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate Edition that you had to buy again, and you couldn't just upgrade from 2 or from 3. You had to buy a whole new game, throw another $50 down, get 0, because you try to exchange 3 for 3 Ultimate. It's going to be, here's your 11 cents from GameStop. So I said, no, fuck it. I'm done. If that's the way they're going to treat the people that support these games, I'm not going to bother playing them anymore. Fuck it. It's not that much fun.
And to answer your question, Wes, no, I am not a gamer. I tried to be when I was in my 20s, but just even when comics were at a $250 price point, I was just like, yeah, there's just no way I can be a gamer and a comic book collector. So I'm going to pick the one that I enjoy more. And so it's comics. I do own like a Switch because I love Nintendo, but I don't really ever play it. It's there if I want to play it.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I can't count how many games that I buy that. Steam's really bad about that. I'll see something and it's, oh yeah, I'll go and buy that, and it's on sale.
And then you just never play it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I owned Comixology for like 6 months before or Comixology Unlimited for like 6 months before I was like, hey, I'm paying $6 to be like reading comics on here. I should actually use that. And it wasn't even until I started doing a live stream with Ash on Comics where we used that as a segment of our stream every week, where we kind of go through an entire graphic novel. And we bounce back and forth who picks the book. And the idea is to find new good content because everyone's read your Watchmen's and your Dark Knight Returns, but to find something like hidden gems. And then, yeah. I'm only in them, like, that's the only time I use it. It's kind of weird to, like, we live in this, like, streaming era where everyone pays all this extra money and we don't even use it.
Yeah, I found myself kind of the same way with Comixology lately. Doing the channel has ended up being a lot more time-consuming than I thought. But so I used to read 2 or 3 graphic novels a week on it, but now I struggle to get through like one in a month. So speaking of comic books, ComicsPRO annual meeting happened last week, and there was a lot of stuff to come out of it. There was the big State of the Industry speech by Brian Hibbs from, I think it's Comics Experience in San Francisco. Pele, did you read the speech, or what did you think about his points?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry, you broke up. The first part.
The ComicsPRO annual meeting happened last week, and there's a big to-do about Brian Hibbs' State of the Industry speech. I believe he owns some comic companies. What were your thoughts on his speech, and specifically his 10-point plan that he proposed?
I think that he's deeply deluded as far as where he believes that the industry is. I'd made this point on Twitter a while back. We had, like I said, I told you about this before the show, but I only order 13 Marvel titles now. And as far as for store stock to actually put on the walls. And the idea is that they're simply not reaching the customers that they want to reach. But the problem is those customers don't exist. So I don't know what else to say. They just.
So a lot of his 10 points, I believe, like the first 5, all of them deal with variant cover programs. and flooding the market with too many titles.
He's right about that.
Yeah, so it's a variant cover problem that big. Like, he made it out to be like putting businesses out with their variant cover programs. Do you see that happening to your peers in the retail community?
Not really. I do, because we've pretty much already pulled out as far as variants go. It's not, the variant program is not good, but I think that people are done chasing incentives.
Yeah,
150, 1 in 100s, 1 in 500s. People aren't doing that anymore. Fantastic Four showed that stores aren't doing that anymore. There were a few stores that may have tried to get one of the Kirby covers or something like that, but you know, they've come to the realization that's dead. We're not doing that anymore. So I don't think the variant cover situation is causing that many problems. It's, you know, the problem with the comic book industry is the fact that it's rotten at the roots. And as long as people like Son Amanat are calling the shots, you know, at a full editorial capacity, you know, Marvel's just going to wither until it dies.
So didn't Fantastic Four, like, #1 sell like 320,000 or something crazy?
It distributed that many copies, but it didn't sell that many copies. You have to understand that I ordered, I think it was 50 copies, because I had a lot of people interested. There was a lot of interest for it. Everyone, you know, people didn't know it was going to be basically like a preview type of issue. They thought, you know, the whole team was going to be part of it and all that. But you know, it's sold pretty well. But you know, like I said, we ordered 50 copies. I received 100 copies.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, you know, what's the real sales order number? You know, did 175,000 copies get sold and they distributed 350?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what happened? Because that's happened with several other comics. So, you know, so they can fluff up the distributed totals. People can point at Comicron and say, ah, look, this comic sold 200,000 copies. Well, no, it's distributed 200,000. There were actually 100,000 ordered and only 30 or 40,000 of them actually sold. So that's reality.
So you still have a big, thick stack of Fantastic Four #1s that you can't get rid of?
Yeah, I mean, there's already, you know, they're already in the bargain bin. So, you know, they're already half price. You know, but they're the ones I didn't order. You know, the 50 original ones that I ordered, I sold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've already sold, but you know, probably have 45 left. You know, all of them for $2.50, $3. So
it's crazy. I was actually pretty excited about that book, and I got halfway through the first issue, and I've never read it again. I like that. They should have put Zdarsky on it. He was much better with these characters.
Yeah, Marvel 2-in-1 was great.
It was awesome.
It didn't sell particularly well, but
they marketed it.
That's marketing. You know, it was a well done comic. It just, you know, and if he would have been writing for Fantastic Four #1 instead of, well, you know, it would have it probably would have succeeded.
Yes. So one of my theories is you know, you start hearing the groundswell from retailers that they're saying, I've had enough. I'm going to institute change starting next year. And I personally think that War of the Realms is going to fall on its ass. And Marvel is going to have a huge plate of crow to eat, and they're going to have to face the realization that the retailers have had enough. Do you think this will be the first time where they really try to launch something and the reception just isn't there, even from the retailers themselves?
I'm not buying heavily into War of the Realms. I think more than likely, that they're going to do the same thing that they did before. They're going to over distribute. They're going to pad everybody's orders. They're going to try to make it look great. And then secretly in the background, heads are going to roll when they realize what the real sales numbers are. Diamond is sick of their crap. I know that because I've talked with people at Diamond, and Diamond, Marvel, from the way I've understand it, I could be wrong. The way I understand it is Marvel's leaning on them and saying, you're going to distribute this many of them, find some places to put these. And, we're going to pay you for 200,000 copies. We're going to pay you for 100,000 copies. You're going to distribute 200,000. And you either like it or we'll work out something else with a different distribution plan. So a lot of people blame Diamond. Diamond's got issues. I mean, they've got a lot of problems. One is you can't get your books in any kind of decent condition at all. They still have, they still use chimpanzees to pack the comics. But I'm not kidding. When you get 30 to 50% of your order every week damaged, there's a problem.
Yeah.
But and that happens consistently, week after week after week. My rep's already like, okay, how many? As soon as he picks up the phone, okay, what do you need? How many reorders do you need? What, where are we at? And it's like that every single week. But their other problem is on the other end, where Marvel's going, why haven't you distributed more? What's going on? Are we not advertising enough? Are we not, and they are, I get so much crap from Diamond about every single pissant comic that they're printing, coming and going. We just don't want it.
Yeah.
It isn't going to sell.
It just turns the noise too.
Yeah.
Like all these series that could get traction and have an audience get drowned out in the Icemans, in the Fantastic Four relaunches, and it's all this other crap that nobody actually wants, that they're pushing the hardest. And then you have all these things like 2-in-1 that everyone would like if you just gave it a chance.
Yeah, if you actually, I ordered forever. I had probably about 15 people, somewhere like that had 2-in-1 on their pull list, because I kept talking to people saying, you need to order this. It's really good. You need to get this. And then I got like 10 copies for the store, 10, 20, somewhere like that. Wasn't a whole lot. But, and it sold them. That's simply from word of mouth. If they actually put as much effort into advertising and trying to sell the good comics, then, look at, here's another good example. When Spectacular Spider-Man was ending, was it Zdarsky that?
Yeah.
What issue was it? It was issue
13.
I'm trying to think of the issue that
the one he drew.
Yeah, the one that he drew.
13.
Oh, it's
313.
amazing.
Yeah.
313. Oh my God, that's an amazing comic.
That was awesome.
It's what it should be nominated for an Eisner.
It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, it's true. But, it should be nominated for awards because it's just incredible. It's probably the best comic of the year. But, who knew? Nobody knew.
It's pretty crazy. There's I think there might be 4 sequential pages with no dialogue that tell more story than you'll see in any Brian Michael Bendis book, with dialogue, coming out your ears. And, the art in that was spectacular. That was a great issue. I loved it.
Yeah, it was the best. It was the best issue that month. It was my shop, the shop pick of the month. And but and then I got asked, what's your shop pick of the month? Is it, you know, you need to be pitching, and then you need to be pitching Captain Marvel. You need to be pitching, you know. No, I'm not doing that. This is the best comic of the month, and that's what I've got out. Oh, well, that's problematic. So
This is from your Marvel rep or your Diamond rep?
that's from Marvel.
So they're trying to influence what you push to your customers?
Yeah, always.
That's crazy because they don't know your customers.
Exactly. You know,
They don't
no, you're
care.
not. Well, you know, what's your advertising campaign? You need to be pushing more to the teenage girl market. You know, no.
Well, I'm sorry, our customers are 30-year-old men.
Yeah, my customers are 30 to 40-year-old men. What do you have for them? You know, it's oh, we have Iron Man. I said, have you read Iron Man? You know, Iron Man is for 18-year-olds is for 18-year-old metrosexual males. You know, it's not for men. I'm sorry. There are no comics being written for men except maybe Thor and Immortal Hulk. So I like Immortal Hulk. I'll fight anybody that says it sucks. But you know, it's in a minority of interesting comics right now from Marvel.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. I normally like the Kate's books. I normally like the Zdarsky books. I'm really liking the Conan and the Barbarians. But that's about it as far as Marvel goes right now. Mortal Hulk was pretty good too, though. Although the writer is such a dickhead.
Yeah, he's a douchebag. But
I want to support the book.
Well, here's the deal. He got off social media, and ever since Al Ewing, by the way, Al Ewing basically got off Twitter, got off social media, stopped putting, you know, comics fans on blast. And although I think he still has an account, but he doesn't really get to the point to where he's attacking the fans anymore. And I'm fine with that. He can have his own political views. He can have his own opinions, stuff like that. I don't care. You know, but when it comes to the fans and it comes to talking to his customers, because they are his customers, he needs to shut the fuck up. And he needs to be a salesman, and he needs to just be a generally decent guy.
So I've seen some retailers say that Twitter activity from writers doesn't really affect sales. Is that how you've seen it?
No, this is the exact opposite. You know, they'll see writer activity on social media and come in and cancel books. You know, I've actually
canceled lots of books because I thought the person was being a jack off.
Yeah, it's like Ta-Nehisi Coates, like oh God, who is it? Who is that?
Like, I won't even buy a Nick Spencer book. I don't care how good Amazing Spider-Man is.
Right. It's yeah, I've had a lot of people come in and just say, you know, I can't believe that he said this. I can't believe that somebody said that. You know, I'm sick of supporting their political agenda. You know, these people are toxic. They're assholes, and they just drop the book. And it does have an impact. What comes out of your mouth, if you're a creator like that, what comes out of your mouth is going to influence your products.
So Doktor, you're a heavy collector. Does it influence you? I mean,
oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The difference is, see, I'm one of those people, I don't bother to tell my store why, because I don't want to look like that asshole that's making Twitter shit real life. So I just don't even bother to explain why. I just drop stuff and I just say, I don't want it anymore. And I don't explain why I don't want it anymore. So I think that anytime a retailer says, you know, oh no, it doesn't affect, it's just because their customers aren't telling them. Just because they're not telling them doesn't mean that's not the reason.
Yeah, for every outspoken asshole like me, there in the world, you've got 50 other people that aren't going to say a damn thing. They're just going to stop buying your stuff.
Exactly. And or they'll come up with another reason. You all you have to do is look at a direct correlation. Can you prove causation? No, but can you get a pretty good idea? Yeah.
Exactly.
If Scott Snyder starts, he blocked me. I don't even know. I don't think I've ever talked to the fucking guy. Fuck him. He'll never get another penny out of me. And I won't buy anything with Ta-Nehisi Coates' name on it, with Nick Spencer's name. My LCS even kept trying to force me. He's like, no. Amazing Spider-Man's still good. I said, I'm not buying anything with. He put me in a position where I had to actually say something, and I said, I will not buy anything with Nick Spencer's name on it. Period. Because I was always the Spider-Man. I collected ASM. I've had it on a pull list since about 1987. So it didn't matter who was writing, who was drawing. It always stayed on my pull list. When Nick Spencer took over, I dropped it, and he's like, no, keep giving it a shot. I'm like, the first 3 times I went in, I don't even think he charged me for it. I never saw it on my receipt. He just kept shoving Amazing Spider-Man in my bag to try to change my mind. Yeah, to try to change my mind. And I eventually had to tell him straight up, no, I won't buy anything with Nick Spencer's name on it.
Well, last week was the first time I actually not bought Spider-Man in years.
Yeah.
I just decided, I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm out. This dude hates me as based on my political views. He hates the fan. He destroyed Captain America, and now he's getting rewarded with Spider-Man. Yes, it's good, but this is just a random issue. This is issue 16, and then they're charging me $5. Fuck them. I'm out.
So, Bats, you're on the no Marvel kick now, right? Wasn't last week your last week?
Yeah. Dropping Amazing Spider-Man was my final step in walking away from Marvel.
And it's
I've always been a DC guy, but I've always defended a handful of characters like Captain America and Spider-Man and Daredevil and Heroes for Hire. And I just can't do it anymore. I'm over it. And I'm at the point, my favorite book has always been Batman. And I'm just ready to drop that too.
You done with it? You dig it? So we'll transition, speaking of Batman and Tom King and pretentious writing, Heroes in Crisis 6 came out this week, and I had a pretty negative reaction. I know Bats did as well. So, like I already mentioned, James doesn't really read a whole lot of comics this week, but I told him we were going to cover this issue. So, James, what did you think of Heroes in Crisis number 6?
I thought it was utterly pointless in terms of telling a story about comic book characters, in a traditional kind of way. There's no real action in it other than a couple of very brief fight scenes, particularly between Harley Quinn and
Joker,
Buster Gold.
Oh, yeah, Booster
Gold. Sorry, and it seemed to be like somebody was trying to make a point.
His name's Buster when Tom writes him.
Somebody was trying to make a point about the characters' feelings and their emotional states, and it seemed wrong to me to try to humanize superheroes. I mean, like I said to you before, before we got on the live chat, I was telling you the whole point of superheroes is that they're superheroes. Things that affect mere mortals don't affect them. And when you try to humanize them like that, it just makes them all look weak and corruptible. And I don't think that's the kind of realism that people look for when they read fiction. There's a suspension of disbelief, and when you make things utterly unrealistic, that violates people's suspension of disbelief. They don't like the story. In this case, it wasn't violating the suspension of disbelief. It was just ignoring it altogether because we're not really going to pay attention to the fact that these people are, fantastically, unrealistically superhuman. We're going to try to make them all look like normal guys, with drug problems and PTSD. And I don't know. The whole speech that Superman made too was really just bad to me, because it seemed to me like the guy who wrote it was talking about himself through that speech and basically trying to steal some valor of his own and say, look, I'm a violent, reluctant hero, and these are the emotional problems that I have to deal with. Oh, look at me, I'm special, and I'm sacrificing myself. And I don't know. It was
that was issue 5.
Difficult read.
That was issue 5. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a difficult read. I just didn't like it.
What I'm sick of, and this is general with DC, Harley Quinn is not a fucking hero. She's a villain.
She was a psychiatrist, right? She has no superpowers or anything.
No, it's even beyond that. I mean, she's a villain. I mean, she's a villain. She's psychotic. There's nothing redeemable about her personality that I can think of, except for the fact that she's, oh my God, so random. Oh, isn't that funny? Mr. J would think that's funny. And then her and Poison Ivy sitting around hacking up, models of the Joker, and oh, isn't this funny? Isn't this great? La la la. And all the men are sad, all the women are happy, all the men are sad that they don't have their women anymore, and all the women are happy that they don't have men in their lives anymore. And that's basically Heroes in Crisis in a nutshell. And Tom King needs a fucking shrink. If he doesn't have a psychiatrist by now, he needs to find one.
If I could really quickly intervene, what DC is also doing is they're trying to market this as like, hey guys, you remember Identity Crisis? Remember how popular that was? We're going to take a popular writer, and we're going to get a top-tier artist, and we're going to tell you this really compelling story about the humanization of superheroes. And while it worked for Identity Crisis, Tom King is just an utter schmutt of a freaking idiot of a writer, that he doesn't have the ability to tell a compelling story that Brad Meltzer did. Like, Brad Meltzer was when it meant something, a New York Times best-selling mystery author. And now they have this guy who's just sad all the time and writing it into fantastical superheroes and just making everyone look like a total putz.
Yeah.
Yeah, this issue specifically, I thought, well, first of all, I thought they all got treated bad, but what he did to Wally West was terrible. Like, he basically went back and redid all of Rebirth.
Right.
Yeah, who has the balls to retcon Jeff Johns? Like,
so it's crazy. And then, his family isn't dead. They're lost in the Speed Force, correct?
Yeah, but he's just assuming that they're dead. He's just basically retconning it all to where they died.
Yeah, he's not a superhero. If his family is trapped in the Speed Force, but he's so sad he can't do anything about it, that's not heroic. You see what I'm saying? He's like, deconstructing him down to less than hero status. He's now a coward for not taking any action.
well, did you read Flash War?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so it's like Flash War was the whole point of him trying to go get him and Barry telling him to not do it. Mm-hmm. So I think he should just keep rebelling against Barry.
Yeah, I was
like, Barry, you're wrong.
I was with Wally the whole time. I was like,
I was too, yeah.
If my loved ones were stuck somewhere and I even had a 1%, not even a 1% chance, like a 0.1% chance of being able to save them, God help me, I wouldn't stop until I died. So if that's me,
he's got someone super
guy. He's a superhero.
Yeah, and he's sitting there in the fetal position. I'm all alone. Like, what the hell is this pretentious drivel why am I? How did this make it through editorial? So you have a lot more experience reading, and you're actually in the business. Is this book even being edited, Pele?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think that. I think very few books are actually being edited anymore, and because nobody wants to tell writers that what they're writing is shit, and they don't want to tell their writers that what they're writing is pretentious garbage. So they're just letting the inmates run the asylum and do whatever the hell they want. And anyone who thinks that Tom King doesn't need heavy editorial is an idiot. You know, he just can't write, and it's been laid bare, and anyone at DC who thinks that he still has the chops to do this type of work is, you know, I'd like to have at least an ounce of what they're smoking. Because
it's crazy. You know, you've got him on Batman, you have Bendis on Superman deconstructing him, and now you have G. Willow Wilson on Wonder Woman. So you have the Trinity, the backbone, the foundation of the DC universe, basically just being destroyed week after week with pretentious douchebag writers. How did we get here?
Well, we got here because, you know, the editors have no backbone. They have no spine, and they can't speak to these entitled millennials that are writing these titles and try to guide them in the right direction. They're just letting them, like I said, just go off any direction they want to go, and, you know, shit out whatever they're going to shit out and put the DC logo on it. So
it's baffling to me. Oh, sorry, but what's really baffling to me is it's like when they're like, "Hey, this guy was from the CIA. He fought in Afghanistan and Iraq," and I'm like, "Oh, cool! This guy's like got some insight and like about war and like secret agency. Oh, he's gonna write a dope Batman." Nope. It's a whole story about like taking him and his arguments with his wife in the kitchen and then flipping them on their head and calling it Batman.
Right.
That's one of the things that actually bothers me about this. Like, you know, King should know better. Like, there's like this weird idea that everyone that's been to Afghanistan or Iraq has PTSD. I did 12 months in Afghanistan. You know, I have some bad memories. I'm not PTSD. I'm not crippled emotionally because, you know, of what I went through. You deal with the things and you move on.
It's the Hollywood perception of what war and serving in the military is like, not the reality of it. So,
I mean,
you know, I'm not.
James, you were in that.
Going to take anything away from you. Go ahead.
I've been involved in this type of conflict since 2001. And it's not like I can assure you I don't have PSD. I'm actually headed back to Afghanistan next month of my own volition. So
thank you for your service, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah. The idea that, you know, everyone who's been over there has some type of emotional handicap is like you said, it's ridiculous. I mean, different people handle crises in different ways, and some people, you know, they get shell shocked. Some people they don't, and just holding people up on a pedestal because they claim some type of, you know, experience is not a good idea. I mean, I've met plenty of people in the military. I've met plenty of people in the CIA and the NSA, all the other three-letter agencies who were absolute pieces of shit. So, I mean, just saying that, I was in the CIA and, you know, I've been over to Afghanistan, so I have insight on war and stuff. Not necessarily.
Well, I guess he used to run like the like counter narcotics portion, like for North America. Like, weren't even really doing that much, but I don't know, I guess he was in Afghanistan. I saw pictures. But that doesn't mean like he doesn't speak for everybody.
No.
Well, I think where the wheels came off the wagon as far as Tom King is concerned, is the whole build-up and hype to the Bruce Wayne, the Batman Catwoman wedding, and then pulling the rug out from everybody who was expecting it. And us as retailers, boy, I got screwed on that, because like, oh, it's going to be the wedding issue. This is huge. This is big. I was actually planning a midnight release. We were going to do it. I don't do that shit. I just don't. But this was going to be big. People were talking about it. There was a lot of hype around it, and then it leaked out several days before
like 3 days.
That they weren't actually getting married and that she was running out on him, and that killed it. I mean, like that, he was dead. And I had the sense to cancel the midnight release, and we ended up, I think overall, I'm glad they actually accepted returns on that, because I had ordered 200 copies and ended up only selling about 65, and I sent 100 of them back. So
it killed off the enthusiasm up for the book by at least 50%.
Easily. More than that. I had people that were actually pulling the book out of I had people pulling that had asked, okay, I want to get, these are people that didn't buy Batman normally, but they wanted number 50. And they were like, oh, I heard they didn't actually get married. I heard there wasn't actually a wedding. So they pulled the book out and they put it back on the rack from their file. Oh, I don't really want it if they're not getting married. I don't really want it. And it's like, oh, damn. So
what I was saying too, I work in a comic book shop from time to time for books. My buddy owns the shop. And, me and I know all the Wednesday Warriors, and we're all kind of talking about how, every wedding is essentially a scam. So just to do this one without someone shows up and, bombs the frickin' church or anything like that, just do it. Mm-hmm. And everyone was like, yeah, that's gonna be awesome. And everyone was kind of under the hype that, like, for 2 years we were told it was gonna happen. And then,
I fully expected something was going to happen. Before it leaked out that the wedding wasn't going to happen, I expected, they're going to get this big, huge deluge of villains that are going to try to stop the wedding. But Bruce is going to be thinking one step ahead, and then he's going to have the Justice League jumping out, and they're going to like corral all the villains and all this kind of stuff. They end up going to have the wedding anyway, and and I figured something crazy was going to happen. Not somebody just talking to Selena Kyle and just talking her out of it.
Hey, remember that Z-lister character in Catwoman? Yeah, she ruins everything.
Yeah.
Hey, remember when they did the exact same thing a month earlier in X-Men Gold?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought the worst thing about it was that they didn't even leak the information to like a comic book website. It was maybe like the Hollywood Reporter or something. They didn't even
LA Times.
It was LA Times.
LA
Okay,
Times.
It was like someone in the business where you could pump up and get them some revenue off of it or anything. And then for Tom King to come back and say, "It's okay, guys. I've been promised 100 issues for this." I'm like, you fucking
from my perspective too is I had just got out of church, and then I popped on the internet, and I was like, oh, no. It's like, I don't understand how, like, DC let it happen. They wanted it to happen.
Intentional.
Because they wouldn't have given away the information to a Sunday report for LA Times if they didn't want everyone to, like, be outraged by it. It was like, to me, it was a big, giant troll. And it's like, dude, you don't troll your fans. You don't deliberately annoy your customers.
Well, what they expected would happen is it would be a controversy issue and it would sell more. Somebody had gotten it in their head at DC that, oh, it's a controversial issue. It's going to sell more. But what they didn't realize is all the lifelong fans of Batman who were just going, fuck this. I'm tired of the way they're messing with him. and then just throw up their hands in disgust. So
yeah, I had two covers ordered actually for it. I don't normally do variants, and I immediately went on my little website because I have all my books shipped here, and so my store was left holding the books. I feel bad for him, but
yeah,
I would have spent this money on the fucking book. I don't want it now.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what my customers did. A lot of my customers did. You know, they said, well, you know, I was sold a bill of goods. You know, I was told there was going to be a wedding. There's not a wedding. You know, it's false advertising. I don't feel like I should be responsible to buy this. And, you know, and they're right. And then you had the same situation with me going to Diamond, you know, and then, you know, Diamond finally agreed to take back all the copies that people didn't want. And so when was the last time that happened? I can't think of any time in history that
they retroactively made it returnable.
Right. I mean, you don't get returns.
Didn't they do that with Convergence too, though?
I don't remember.
I have a weird recollection of them making Convergence returnable because of something. I don't remember what it was.
I don't recall. I just know that it'd never been anything this big before. And, you know, it was almost to the point to where if they weren't going to take the issues back, I was actually thinking about getting together with a whole bunch of other store owners and seeing if we could get a class action suit, because it would be fraud. You know, because all of
that
our
should still be a thing.
Said, you know, all the promotional materials were saying wedding. It's going to be the wedding of the century, big wedding. And
I believe King said specifically in an interview that this isn't a setup. The wedding's going to happen, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And then to have the rug pulled out, it was just, it was a disaster.
So, Doctor, did you read the Heroes in Crisis 6? What that we started out on? Did you read that book as well?
No.
Okay.
I don't care about anything that King writes.
So my buddy James here, he was a long time comics reader. He's been out of the loop for a little bit. He makes a pretty decent living. You know, he's got money to spend on comic books. Now that I recommended that book to you, well, I didn't recommend it to you, but you read it for preparation. Are you ready to get back into DC Comics? Did Heroes in Crisis do it for you?
Quite the opposite, actually. It confirmed my decision to abandon the franchise.
Because, you know, Tom King.
Look what they've done to poor Superman. I mean, they've cut the hell out of that guy.
Oh, yeah. They destroyed his family. They turned him into a cuck. They took his son.
Turned his son into a psycho.
Mm-hmm. Turned his wife into a bitch.
Oh.
Oh, Bendis is the worst.
Dad. What's bad is he got cut by his own dad.
Too, so any damage to Superman is personally offensive to me. So I don't have any reading someone who can't write him very well. I mean, he's pretty much the easiest character to write as well. So if you fuck up Superman, you should quit the business.
Well, I agree. Bendis, quit the business.
Yeah, Bendis is... I still don't understand the attraction. There's still fans out there that love Brian Michael Bendis, and I don't see it. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. So I've never liked him. So
are you seeing it at your shop? Is there a rise in interest in alternatives to DC and Marvel? Most people don't like the direction they've gone into. They're diluting the customer pool. People are actually walking away specifically for them. Do you see any of the independents like coming in and drawing more interest nowadays? Like even Alterna, do you even order them?
Yeah, we do. We do sell Alterna. Alterna sells pretty well for us. I was actually talking with Doktor about this. See, my shop is kind of a little bit unique in that 80% of our sales now are back issues. and vintage comics. And along the way, what I've done is there's so many stores going out of business. I basically bought up a whole bunch of inventories of shops that have gone out of business. And I sell back issues. I sell vintage comics, new comic sales. I saw the writing on the wall years ago, and it's like, we're not going to survive if 60% of our business is new comics. And so we changed it. I changed it. And that's the only way that we have. I mean, this is so far, 2018 was our best sales year. As far as I went back and looked on the books, it's the best sales year we had since 2004.
That's awesome.
And the reason for that is the fact that people are going back and they're buying all the Copper Age, Bronze Age, Silver Age books. And we're constantly buying comics. We're constantly selling comics. And, you know, I get them graded. I sell CGC slabs. I do the whole gamut as far as back issues and vintage comics. And that's how we survive now. And the other shops that are struggling and suffering is because, you know, so few new comics are selling well. As far as independents are concerned, Umbrella Academy is selling pretty well. Magic Order sells pretty well. I
have a suspicion you'll see an uptick in interest in Jupiter's Legacy and Jupiter's Circle once the Netflix series launches.
Yeah, there definitely will be. Saga still sells well as back issues. I have no idea why. I can't stand that.
I don't get it either.
That's somebody else's. That's neither here nor there.
If they want to spend their money, you'll sell it, right?
Absolutely. If they want to, they want to pay $400 for a graded Saga #1, that's their business. But it's essentially Image.
I know the answer why everyone buys Saga. It's because everyone knows a handful of mildly attractive girls who go, "Oh, you like comics? Have you heard of Saga?" And anyone who's not reading Saga goes, "I want to be able to talk to this girl. I'm buying Saga."
That's what it is.
If you go to any used bookstore, look in the graphic novel section, and it'll say like, staff pick Saga by Kelsey. And then you go, you're like, "Excuse me, who's Kelsey?" And it's like, "I'm Kelsey." Yep, thought so.
But it's Vertigo is dead. I mean, I can't believe what they did with Vertigo. Oh, Jesus Christ, that was awful. Goddess Mode is a joke. I actually had customers come in and want to buy it just because it was such a bomb. They're like, "Oh, I've got to get that. I got to get that book written by Zoe Quinn. That chick from the Gamergate thing. Yeah, I've got to get that comic because it's going to be so awful." We sold probably about a dozen copies of #1, and I've not carried any of the other issues.
So have you taken advantage of Alterna's new direct ordering? Well, I don't know if it's new, but they're promoting it more. They're direct ordering. Do you even go through Diamond for them anymore?
I still am going through Diamond for them, but I probably will go through the direct ordering route. Just haven't gotten around to it yet. Yeah,
because I've actually ordered 2 packages from Alterna. Books are coming all the way from New Hampshire to the Philippines, and they arrive in pristine condition. I don't understand.
My buddy who runs the shop, he's after the swatting was like, "All right," because I've been nagging him. I'm like, "Dude, get Alterna," and he's like, "Oh, I don't think they're gonna sell." And I think after the swatting incident, a lot of people have been kind of going, "I want to support this guy," and there's been an uptick of Alterna, and so my buddy is gonna. There's the Marvel section, the DC section. Well, he's gonna make an Alterna section because, at retail price, they're 75 cents a freaking comic. So he's gonna just have a whole section. He's pretty much bought the entire back catalog of Alterna. And so that's
the retail's about $1.50. The retail's $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
No, at wholesale.
Yeah, the wholesale is about 72 cents, depending on your volume. But
well, he's bought like 10 of everything in the back catalog.
Yeah. Blood Realm sold extremely well for us. That was like Blood Realm number 2 came out. It was one of our top sales of the month for new comics.
That's crazy. It's a
number
good book.
3 sold extremely well. Number 1, I just bought those until I couldn't buy them anymore.
They're just out.
Yeah, until they ran out. Until that. Yeah, I think we even bought up second printings until they ran out. So, it sold extremely well. Back issue wise, I think number 1 near mint non-graded, I think we're selling for $17 for number 1s, and they sell pretty well. So, and I've got to pay people like $9-10 to get them to sell them. So, I don't feel bad marking them up.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't realize I had another comic that's worth that much money. I got the Batman Damned number 1, and I think Rags number 1 are my 2 most valuable ones right now.
Yeah, Batman Damned was hilarious. That was...
Rags went up in price?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right on.
Rags is selling like $30 on eBay.
I just bought it because there was a redhead in her underwear with a gun.
Who doesn't like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Before Brian put the the print on demand back up for number 1, I think I sold 2 copies of the print on demand for about $750.
Right.
So yeah, I sold one for like $250 and the next one for $500. So
I've still got 2 copies. I've still got 2 copies myself. I'm not going to sell them.
Yeah, they've lost all their value since he made them print on demand again, but still.
Right. It's one of those books I didn't think it would be worth anything. I didn't buy it for that. It's kind of collectible now.
Batman Damned, as soon as I got the first issue in, because I ordered 25 copies of it, and ordered 25 copies of each cover, because I love Jim Lee. And as soon as I opened it up, and I was flipping through it, and then I saw it. I saw the first appearance of the Batawang, and immediately got on the horn, and I said, I need more. I need more of these. I was talking to my rep, Diamond Rep. I said, I want to reorder. I want more of these. How many do you want? I want 50. I want 100. I want how many you give me. How many can I get of this? And he says, I can put you down for another 50. And I said, great. Just do that. And within 2 hours, they were done. There's no way you could get any more copies. And then I did get my other 50 copies in, and I was pumping them out for between $50 and $80 a pop. So
you get your books on Tuesday, right? So I also get we also get our books on Tuesday, and
right.
That's why if you watch my channel, sometimes I'll have the jump on everyone with the reviews. And I remember flipping through the Damned on Tuesday, and it was like, oh, Batman's dick is in this. And my buddy who owns the shop is like, what? I was like, yeah, right there. Look. There's his dick. It's like, oh my God. And I was like, is this like, I know this is for mature readers, but it doesn't really have a warning. Like, I would have liked the warning.
Well, it was, that's what I was like, oh, wow, that's actually in here. And that's when I knew I got to get more of this because it's going to sell like crazy. And by the time, and I wasn't really thinking about it in terms of markup. I was just thinking in terms of people are going to buy it. Customers are going to buy it. And then when it started hitting 30, 40, 50, $60 on eBay, I was like, holy shit. And then when the next Tuesday, when my reorders arrived and I got, a whole big box of Batman Damned, I was like, all right, it's time to make some bank. So
yeah. I skipped it. I just didn't care.
Hey, we got of the 10 I sent 10 copies off to CGC to get graded. And one of them came back a 9.9. All of them were 9.8s, 1.99. And I sold that 9.9 for $1,275.
Holy crap.
That's nice. That's a nice turnaround. Nice return on investment.
That was a great chunk of change there. But, it's just, and what was so bad about that, though, is the backlash, even though it is a black label, DC's black label, it's supposed to be mature, but at the same time, there was a lot of backlash. And what they were going to do, you can tell by looking at issue 2, they were going to have topless Harley.
Yeah.
There's one panel in there where you could tell they were going to have topless Harley, and then they drew over top of her.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like put a little blouse, a little covering over her breasts. And I was like, oh, damn it. We were going to get topless Harley, and everybody screwed it up by raising a big fit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same thing that they did with White Knight. Because that kind of became a retroactive black label title when and I guess
when they relaunched when they relaunched DC Essentials on it, they put the black label on it. So
and when they did their, I don't remember if it was Free Comic Book Day or local comic shop day, one of those ones where they gave out the free kind of ash can version of it. It had the black label logo on it too.
They put it on All-Star Superman as well as Watchmen now.
God,
All-Star Superman.
They're just slapping it on anything at this point. Instead of it calling it an Elseworlds or anything else like that, it's just like, oh, just throw a black label on it. People heard about Batman's dick.
Okay. Let's go back 40 years and make Crisis on Infinite Earths a black label title. Because why not? Why not?
Why not?
No, All-Star Superman was if you know what, if All-Star Superman needs to be black label, then the goddamn Batman in All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder should definitely be a black label title.
Yeah, no kidding. He keeps a teenage boy locked up in a cave. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
That's another thing. They people. I'm always having this argument with people. Everyone loves Jim Lee, but I can't stand the guy because he refuses to finish a project. And I've been waiting for the end of All-Star Batman and Boy Wonder for how many years? 15 now?
Yeah.
About that. Yeah.
That's just totally absurd. It's just out of control. And it's like, hey, we're gonna have Jim Lee do Suicide Squad, and we're gonna have him do Justice League. It's like, hey, can you go finish what you started?
Well, I mean, I love Jim Lee as an artist because he's one of my top 5 favorite artists. I've got like 6 comics that are remarked by him, and probably about, in my personal collection, I've got about probably 50 of them signed. And he's one of my favorite artists. But you're right, actually nailing him down and getting him to finish a product or any kind of project is damn near impossible.
Yeah, it's been 10 years since the last issue of All-Star Batman.
Yeah.
So is he still supposed to finish it?
Yeah, there's supposed to be 2 more issues.
Yep.
Him and Frank Miller.
It's like Doomsday Clock is getting like that,
I was talking with Ashok Comics about this because I heard it was going to be another 6 issues of All-Star Batman and Robin. And if Jim Lee's not going to finish, they need to get someone of his caliber to be like a hot shit all-star comic book artist. And I would love to have the second half by Todd McFarlane, personally.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Like, imagine the like you as a store owner, you would know that like if it was a Frank Miller, Todd McFarlane Batman story, it would just God. It would be amazing for you guys, for any retailer.
It would melt. It would melt. It would melt the shelves. You know. Yeah. Oh, well, speaking of independents that are selling well, Spawn is selling really well right now.
You know,
I keep flipping through it.
That.
It is. It's actually genuinely selling well. You know, I've got like 20 diehard Spawn fans, and they're all buying one copy of every single variant right now. And that's close to 100 books a month for Spawn. Yeah. And I can understand it because the art is gorgeous on the covers. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the covers lately for Spawn.
The McFarlane covers are great.
Oh my God, they're beautiful. And
I just don't care for the interiors though.
Right. But the interior art aside, at $2.99, I actually think it's not a bad art purchase as a cover buy.
Wait, that's $2.99?
Yeah, that's why I buy it.
I just assumed it was $4.
No, it's $2.99. McFarlane's actually he's smart. He's smart. He's looking at the volume involved here. He really wants to get his product
as a customer, I've been kind of wanting to jump back into Spawn, knowing that 300's around the corner. So I might just do that.
Well, they recently changed Violator, and they're changing the nature of what Spawn is, the character, and it's interesting. It's very, very interesting.
So if I jumped in and I haven't read it since like 120, I'll be totally lost, but I'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll be all right. In fact, a lot of stores you'll probably be able to pick up from like $2.90 on pretty easily. So, and I recommend
I never read Spawn. Then I saw my the shop that I ordered from that ships me to. They were $3, so I was like, yeah, I'll buy a Todd McFarlane book for $3.
We pretty much have every issue except like first appearance of Angelica in the store.
Yeah, I think what did the story arc start about? 290, 291 was when the latest arc started. But
maybe.
But yeah, I recommend it. It's good. It's cheap. It's all of these. I think all of them are going to go up in value at some point. So yeah, it's a recommend buy from as far as I'm concerned.
So speaking of recommendations, what's your recommendation on your store this week?
This week's recommendation. What was that? Oh, Immortal Hulk 13.
So was it
Immortal Hulk 13?
Was Mortal Hulk one of the big Marvel sellers for your shop specifically?
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's the number one. It's the number one Marvel title selling right now, aside from Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I've been reading it. The interiors on that one are really good. I like it a lot.
Alex Ross covers are absolutely gorgeous too. So, it doesn't hurt.
So, Doktor, you got any books that came in this weekend or this week that you want to recommend, or maybe some older ones?
I was going to say my recommendation for everyone right now is Uncanny X-Men, about 144 through the end.
That's it.
Claremont.
Yes. It's after the expensive burn issues, and you can get them relatively cheap.
You X-Men guys are just crazy about that Claremont stuff.
It's really fucking good. That's why.
It's really damn good. Yeah. If you've got some cash, if you got some money, and you want to looking for some good investment material right now, look into buying some mid-grade, like 94, 95 Giant size #1, of course. You know, look for something mid-grade that has some good visual appeal, because that shit's going to go. It's going to go sky high within the next 5 years.
I just bought a copy of was it X-Men 141 Days of Future Past start, but it's the British edition.
The Pence variants.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's fine.
Yeah, I paid like $40 for it, but I was just like, oh, cool! I finally own a copy of this that's not like a reprint.
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that. I was just going to interject real quick. People say that the Pence variants are worth less. I've never noticed that. I just put the same price. You know, if it's fine, if it's a 6.0, I put the same price on a Pence as I do on a dollar. You know, on the cents issue, the U.S. issue. So, go ahead.
Every day since about 2005, my giant-sized X-Men #1 feels like a better and better and better investment, because I think I blew about $80 on it, and it was it's a 6.0, but it was ungraded at the time. I was little iffy on the price, but I'm good with it, and I think it's probably close to $500 book now.
$8,000. I mean,
really?
Those are 800. 800.
Yeah, 800. Okay.
Yeah, 800. That's a good safe.
Cool.
It's right now. I think we sold a 9.4 near mint CBCS giant size #1. I got $23.50 for it.
Nice.
So I think $800 is probably about right for is it graded or non-graded?
No, it's graded. CGC.
CGC, yes. Probably about $800, $850 is what you'd probably get for it if you put it on eBay right now.
Yeah,
but that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, the 94 is the one that I think is really undervalued right now. Comparison.
I got a 6.5.
Yeah, I've got one at the store right now, an 8.5. I've got it for $11.50, and I'm probably not going to have it much longer. I've had like a dozen people sort of, they'll ask for it, they'll look at it, they'll give it back to me, then they'll ask to see it again, and they look at it. It won't be around for much longer. So.
Yeah, I think I paid $200 for it 2 years ago.
But that's a book that's undervalued right now. It's always it and giant size. I don't know, about a dozen years ago, 10, 12 years ago, giant size started going up faster, sort of passing it up. And now it's almost double in value. Realistically, street value is almost double. So 94 is going to catch up at some point. It's going to or start trying to. So it's a good time to buy X-Men 94 if you can get one mid-grade to high grade.
Okay,
go ahead.
Hey, Bats, do you have any recommendations from this week's your comic pool this week?
This week, yeah, it's Heroes in Crisis #6.
Oh yeah, fucking comics.
No, this week, I mean, I liked Detective 999. I called it Tomasi Can Turn Bad Ideas into Great Ones. But yeah, just this week, no. But I have been reading Badger by Mike Barron from '83.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I've been loving that.
Nice. So my two recommendations this week, I haven't gotten actually through all my books, but Damage #14 was really fun. They're finishing it up. I guess the book's been canceled, so Venditti and Lopresti have dropped Damage on like a monster island, and he's fighting dinosaurs and enormous monkeys and shit. It's a lot of fun. And then what was my Marvel book? Oh, Savage Sword of Conan #2. It's awesome. The art by Ron Garney is amazing. Probably my favorite book out right now. Shocking that it's Marvel. But so speaking of Detective Comics 999, so 1000's coming up. What kind of interest are you seeing? From your perspective as a retailer, Pele?
A lot. That actually, I had all variants and everything combined. I've got 180 on order, and 75% of that are for people's pull lists. So pretty good, really, really good. It's going to be a solid seller. The covers that are really hot, shockingly, well, not so shockingly, Jock cover. The Jock cover is really hot. The Bernie Wrightson cover, I think, may actually be the #1 cover that I ordered. And
so the $10 price tag isn't, or is it $10?
Yeah. Yeah, and it didn't really phase people. They're looking at it as and the way I told it, it's a graphic novel. This is going to have
pages.
a lot. It's a 100-page giant.
100-page.
So it didn't 100-page, 96-page giant. So it's a graphic novel. It's square bound. It's not like how they cheesed out with Amazing Spider-Man 800. How Marvel cheesed out, but it's a square bound book. It's 96 pages, $10. Yeah, it's not cheap, but look how much graphic novels cost. So I think that's okay.
Do you guys have sorry, real quick, do you guys still have a bunch of 800s sitting on your shelf?
No, I've got about 5.
Oh, lucky you.
5 of them. Yeah, I didn't over order on it. I ordered what everybody wanted plus 20, and I've got 5 copies left.
Right on. We got 60 in our shop, and it's just thrown into a box. Yeah.
Oh damn, that's bad.
And they're just sitting in a long box. And yeah.
So those were. What was the price on those?
$10.
Yeah, that's $5 each. $300.
That's money. That's the money.
$300 that you can't wish to get back.
Yep, exactly. It's it is what it is.
So how many are you picking up for your own personal collection of the DC 1000?
The Detective 1000?
Yeah.
Bernie Wrightson, Jock, Jim Lee, and one more. I can't remember. There's one other one. I can't remember which one it was, but
like 6.
Steve Rude or Bruce Timm?
Tim, yeah.
The Timm cover is fantastic.
Yeah, it looks amazing. So
I personally kind of want all of them, but that's like $100 and one comic. I think it's kind of stupid.
I've got some people that did it. I've got some people that are doing it. I don't think it's Action Comics 1000 kind of burned people really bad. I had a lot of people order all the covers. A lot of people order all the covers, and when they got their bill, it kind of even with the discount they get for having a folder with us, it had some people walking out about $150 lighter. So,
that's one thing I noticed. My shop with Action Comics 1000, they did a pre-order with like all the covers, like I think 60 days before the book was even coming out, and they didn't do that with Detective Comics. So I'm assuming that there's been a downtick in interest on all the variant covers. Like last time I got the regular cover and then one variant, and this time I'm going to do the same thing, one for me and one for my son. But I haven't figured out which one I want yet.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, as far as the variants are concerned, retailers have kind of figured that out now. At first the glut hit hard, and now it's just You know, they're not ordering everything, and they're not ordering to hunt for incentives. At least I don't think most places are hunting for incentives anymore. If you have enough to get the incentive, that's great. If you don't have enough, there's no reason to order 40, 50 more copies to get the 1 in 100, you know, because it's not going to sell at the normal rate. You know,
so what were your thoughts on Hibbs' point that he thinks the meets or exceeds tying into books that aren't like the same? Is that, you think it's also illegal? I thought that was an interesting thing he pointed out.
What was the point again?
When Hibbs did his 10 points, he was saying that the like tying the War of the Realms incentive covers to sales of Thor.
Right.
Like he said, I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Well, it's been happening. It's been happening for the last 2 years with Marvel, 2 to 3 years with Marvel. They've consistently done it. You know, you have to order a certain amount of copies of these 5 titles to get this one per store copy. And, you know,
but
until somebody calls them on it, they're going to keep doing it.
Exactly. Where, you know, it's too small of an industry to get any sort of regulatory oversight. And until somebody actually stands up and points an authoritative agency at them and says, hey, what they're doing isn't fucking legal, they're just going to keep doing it. But it's only against the law if you get caught. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's only punish. You don't, if you don't get punishment, you know, what's the point? But stores just don't care now, because the amount that what they can get for those super rare incentive copies is not anything what it used to be. So
okay, so even the consumer market shrunk down to where the whales that they were fleecing and bleeding dry have even given up.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's some incentives that are really good, that are holding value, but you know, it's usually a situation where it's, you know, it's an Alex Ross, it's, you know, J.B. Jones, really nice cover. You know, it's a it's a J. Scott Campbell. Mm-hmm. You know, it's something that's really beautiful to look at, and it's rare. You know, there's nothing rare about a Detective 1000 incentive, 1 in 100 incentive, because there's going to be thousands of them flooding eBay when it comes out. So it's, you know, you'll be able to get usually you can get, according to if it's a 1 in 10, $10 used to be the way it was. 1 in 10 for $10, 1 in 20 for $20, 50, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you know, 1 in 10, I might be able to get $2 more for it than cover, depending on what comic it is and how unlikely it is that you're going to order 10 or 20 issues or something like that of it. So, you know, it's not what it used to be, and you have to have that money to make up for the fact that you're buying all those extra issues.
Yeah.
So,
does your shop have the people who want the incentive covers?
Oh yeah, but you know, the reality of it hits that, you know, oh, I really want this 1 in 100. I said, well, what if I'm only ordering 80 copies? Are you saying that you want to order those other 80 copies to get it?
Yeah, that's what my buddy does too. He's like, I want this 1 in 100. He's like, I'm only getting 10, so you're gonna have to buy 90 comics.
Right. That's what I tell them. You know, and of course they're like, no. You know, if I do have a couple people that are like, what are you ordering of this? I'm ordering 8 copies. Well, there's a 1 in 10 that I really want, and they're willing to buy those other 2 copies to get the incentive. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Like, what was like 1 in 20 Spectacular Spider-Mans for the Chip Zdarsky cover for 313. Yeah. And I was yeah, and I had told my buddy, I was like, I don't want I want this issue, but I don't want this Mike McComb cover right after he told me I should have dick cancer, so I'm not going to buy this book. He's like, you can have the frickin' Zdarsky cover. I'm like, oh, cool, right on for a regular price.
Okay, that's not so.
Yeah, I've been telling my retailer personally. I'm like, dude, in order for comics to change, the retailers need to get on. They need to get on Comicsgate with us because we're the ones over here buying the most books and trying to defend the industry and trying to save it. But the retailers are just letting this shit happen. And so until the retailers are involved, nothing's going to happen. We're just going to be angry fans. And he's starting to kind of slide that way.
Well, I think one of the big problems is like the super retailers, like your Midtown Comics, where they don't have to fall in line with anything. They're the ones that are getting all that awesome business for those variant covers that their smaller shops can't get. And they get nationwide or even worldwide business out of it.
Yeah, but have you seen how much Midway charges or Midtown charges for theirs? They charge double the rate for most of the incentive covers.
Oh yeah,
the one in 20, they're going to charge $40 for it.
Mm-hmm.
So because if you really want it, because they can, because they're the only ones that are getting it.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly. That's the problem, or a big problem.
I'm getting the 1 in 100 detective 1000. I'm getting the 1 in 100 for that, but it's not. But I'm not selling it. That's for my PC.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a little treat.
Yeah. Some of them I do like that. It's like, well, what happened to the incentive cover for this? Oh man, I have no idea, dude.
Didn't arrive.
No, I just tell them, hey, that's mine. What?
So have you seen an exodus of the whales? Even from your shop, because I know the Doktor. He was a whale. He was a completionist at one point, but like he's weaned himself off of those practices. Are other people that were like that doing that?
I don't have the whales anymore. It's the I never really saw the whales to begin with for that. I had some people that wanted to buy incentive covers, and if I had them, they would buy them. But as far as I think the guy that buys the most right now from us new comics wise buys about $350, $400 a month.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good size. But there's some shops out there that have $1,000 a month customers. So
a couple of months I've gotten over like $250, but I've cut back way back. Once I started interacting with some of the creators, I was like, "Fuck that."
Yeah, it's not.
In our store, we have a guy who buys everything that DC puts out and all the variants. He's been doing this since about 65. He's like an older gentleman, just buys everything.
Yeah, that's the way that one guy is with us.
And then
he buys.
And I ask him, I'm like, "Are you even reading this?" And he's like, "Oh no, I'm still catching up." I'm like, "Where are you at?" He's like, "Oh, I'm reading Crisis on Infinite Earths right now." I'm like, "You're 30 years behind. Just stop it." What is this? How are you telling me you're catching up and you're at Crisis on Infinite Earth? You're not catching up. You're just reading old comics.
Completionist.
And then there's also a guy who collects everything from Marvel. And I ask him, I'm like, "Oh, what do you think of this book?" And he's like, he refuses to talk to me because he's a local journalist and he doesn't like my hat that happens to say 4 words on it.
Yeah.
So
that happens.
Yeah, he refuses to talk to me. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to talk to you." I was like, "I just want to know what you think of Squirrel Girl. Like you're a 50-year-old man. I'm just curious on what your thoughts as a 50-year-old man who reads Squirrel Girl is. I'm curious." And he's like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, okay.
we do get customers every once in a while. They walk in and say, "Oh, where's Squirrel Girl? Where's this? Sorry, we're sold out. Yeah, we're sold out. Oh man, it must be selling well." I'm like,
go off the shelves.
Absolutely.
Anytime I had a little girl one time come in, and I like it just weighed on my conscience really bad. Where this girl came in and she's like, "Oh, I love the Flash," and I was like, I was helping her find some Flash, and then, so she had like a new issue of Flash Rebirth, and then out of nowhere she's like, "Do you have Girl Captain America?" I'm like, no. And she's like, yeah, she's got like the cool sunglasses and like the jacket, and I was like, oh no.
Oh, America Shaman.
And then I was like, and then her mom or her aunt was like, yeah, do you have that? And so I like took her over to Marvel, and I was like, this? And they were just so excited to get it, and I was just like, I really should have just said no.
No, I mean, it's the thing. If somebody wants, I won't carry books by like Mags Visaggio and stuff like that. I just won't. But if somebody, like I said before, if somebody has a pull list, they want to buy something, fine, I'll sell it to them. If something like that ends up on the shelf, I'll sell it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to carry it because it just won't sell. And that's what I can say about SJW Comics is they just don't sell.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, Doktor, like I said, you were a completionist for a long time. So when you started scaling back, your orders, did your shop notice? Did they ask you about it?
Well, yeah, he asked me, and I said, well, I had a different reason than other people, and it wasn't necessarily the issue of, do they hold value or anything like that. It was simply when X-Men did their color books, the red and the gold, or the blue and the gold, and they had the Jim Lee remastered one in 2,500 or something like that. It was some obscene number. It wasn't even just 250 or 500. It was in the thousands. And just off the out the door on day of release, everywhere that I looked was asking for no less than $1,000 for it.
Wow.
And I just said, if I'm not gonna be able to afford to just buy, if I have $1,000 and I'm looking for Jim Lee, I'm looking for a piece of cheap old Jim Lee original art, not a modern variant. And if I can't get all of them, because out the door I'm looking in 4 digits, I'm just not interested in any of them. I just don't care anymore. And okay, then Uncanny 600 or whatever they were doing, Extraordinary X-Men and Amazing X-Men, whatever the titles were before that, that's whenever I'm like, okay, well, at the end of those series, that's the end of my completion. Everything up to that point, I'll be a completist. Everything beyond that, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just immediately priced me out.
Priced you out of it.
Right.
So
I have a lot of customers that are like that. They got to the point where, $3.99 was kind of like where they drew the line. And when they went to $4.99 for special issues like issue 50, any number ones, and how Marvel likes to relaunch.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they come out with a number one, it's $4.99, $5.99 or more. And people just like, nope, not buying it.
Was it Ultimate Uncanny X-Men was $8?
Yeah.
For that and issue 11?
It's like there's people just won't buy it.
Fleecing their fans. Because if I don't buy issue 1, why would I buy issue 2?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I found it very, very interesting that over the past few years, the industry keeps saying, we're looking for new readers, we're looking for new readers, we're looking for new readers. And all this stuff that they're doing is ostensibly claimed to be about trying to find new readers. But all of their sales practices are an attempt to fleece and dig more money out of the pockets of the current readers.
Yeah, they're just bleeding their longtime customers and fans dry so they can get their hands on You know, books they've been potentially buying for 30, 40 years.
Yeah, it's sad because I'd say that less than 15 to 20% of the original fans are still buying comics now, and they're the people that'll probably buy until Marvel shuts its doors in the comics on their comics part of their company.
Okay.
And
you guys want to talk about that real quick? I know Pele has to leave soon. Did you see the clickbait article that came out from, I think it's Cosmic Book News?
Yeah, I did see that article.
Did you read it?
I skimmed it.
What were your thoughts?
Zach was talking about it.
Yeah, Zach dropped a video while we were streaming. And it's pretty much just clickbait. I mean, I clicked it, I read it, I was like, I could do a video about this. And I was like, no, that's stupid. I'm just going for clicks on my channel for already a clickbait article. So I found something else to talk about.
None of that was indications that Marvel is closing up shop and not publishing books anymore.
Well, I mean, look at IDW. IDW is actually, you know, they're selling Marvel comics. You know, they're not any good. You know, they don't sell. But you know, it's kind of like the way that TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, went to Mirage dropped it and then picked up by Archie. Wasn't it Archie that sold TMNT for a while? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures.
Yeah,
and you know, it doesn't.
Image
sell.
had it for a while.
Turtles, the Archie's Turtles was always like cartoon based, where regular Ninja Turtles was always Mirage, and then it went to Image, went back to Mirage, and then they just shut down entirely because they got bought out by Nickelodeon. And Nickelodeon franchised it out to IDW, I guess.
Yeah, licensed it.
Licensed, yeah, franchise.
Yeah, I think eventually, though, that if Marvel doesn't change course, and which I don't think they will, unfortunately, but they'll probably end up just licensing their characters out to whoever will pay the most.
So that's what I see as well, but I think they're going to try at least one more clean slate revamp, like new leadership. Let's see if we can right the ship and start growing the brand before we start letting other people create the new storylines that could potentially move the movie franchise forward. Do you see that happening? Like, or do you think Sadowski gets another year? I don't know.
Well, go ahead.
With Marvel Fresh Start, there was nothing fresh about it. It's not like they did the laundry. They just sprayed Axe Body Fresh on it and was like, here you go, here's the new thing. It's like, no, I want a fresh start. I want something new, fresh, and interesting. Not, hey, here's the same thing. They're like, oh, we're not going to do any events. What the hell is War of the Realms? What is all this Venom crap? What is, all these Avengers books going on? Everything has an event.
It's not. They're not events if everything is an event. That's the trick. They made everything an event so that they can say they're not doing events. That's just normal publishing now.
Yeah. Makes sense.
They did a big shell game where they took all the writers that everyone was mad about, Coates, Nick Spencer, Slott, Wade, and they just put them on the same books, but they just moved them all around. They didn't bring any new fresh blood into the big series. And I think that was a really big opportunity wasted to get Zdarsky up on one of the major titles, to get Donny Cates up on major titles, move some of these people that were really upsetting customers and weren't doing anything fresh or new with the characters. They just kind of shuffled the deck, but it was all business as usual. So do you think they're gonna have to do something, right? They're not just gonna.
They're gonna need a Jim Shooter again. They need an actual leader, an actual someone who cares about the company and the industry and the future of the company, not just this quick money right now. Hey, do you guys like fruit pies? I love fruit pies. Let's talk about it on YouTube. No, dude, you need to focus on creating good books and creating quality content while keeping your fans and creating new ones. But focus on the customers you already have.
Unless they're kicking Sana Amanat to the curb, along with
Joe Quesada, Tom Brevoort.
along with Joe Quesada, unfortunately Jim Lee, who's an enabler for all that shit. You know, Cebulski, who just lets anything happen. Apparently, he, you know, I don't think he really even agrees with most of them. He just like one of those I want to just get along kind of guys.
David
You know,
Gabriel.
So, yeah. Unless they're going to kick 80% of their staff to the curb and get rid of their diversity coordinator, diversity vice president, you know, it's not going to work. It's going to be the same old shit. It's going to be the same old thing with a different, you know, with a different cover on it. So
I think what Disney needs to do is like shut down Marvel like just shut it down for a year or two and then bring it back with a whole new clean slate, like of not so much story, but, you know, creators, writers, artists, editors, everything.
The potential for Marvel to get back on track is for them to actually license the books out, for them to catch fire with a new creative direction where they get away with the diversity stuff and they get back on and telling good stories, and Marvel sees we're losing all this money because they've caught fire again. Then they bring them back, and now they have a new direction that someone else creates for them. And I don't think they might not be able to actually do it on their own.
You're essentially talking about them doing Heroes Reborn.
Because
that's what Heroes Reborn was.
Here's the problem, though.
Marvel Knights, I believe they gave away 4 characters, and then we can't do anything with them. Somebody else took them, did some great stuff with them. And they're like, oh, now we know how to make them, right?
Well, it's reaching the point now to where the SJWs are going to start abandoning ship because they're not going to be employable anymore because their books don't sell. So the problem is as soon as if Marvel were to catch fire again, the SJWs would insert themselves back into the culture again. Right, and they would drag it down again. You know, it's that type of cyclical thing with them. You know, every time that there's a popular cultural touchstone, they've got to find a way to insert themselves and then tear it down,
claim it for their own
with their ideology. So, you know, until the social justice movement runs its course, until, you know, the regressive left, you know, isn't listened to anymore, you know, by the people in the mainstream media and by, you know, the decision makers, it's not going to matter because they're going to just reinfect and tear it down again. So, you know, it's I'm not going to say it's a lost cause, but until the political winds change, it's not going to matter. That's my opinion.
So are you pessimistic on the industry as a whole, or you just think maybe Marvel needs to go away and something needs to come in its place, or is that even possible?
Well, I think that I'm not pessimistic on the industry. I'm pessimistic on society right now. Well, it's true. I mean,
Yeah,
how much fake news can you take in a 24-hour cycle? You know, we're going to reach a point to where when the average person stands up and says they're not taking this shit anymore, and we have a cultural revolution that involves, you know, taking the regressive left and telling them where to get off, and we're not listening to you anymore. You can all just shut the fuck up. You know, until that happens, everything's going to continue going the way it's going right now. And eventually it will happen. There will be a cultural revolution. There will be that, I won't even say conservative spark, common sense spark back in the United States, in the Western world again. Then we can have, you know, the good things again. We can have things that are culturally enriching, not just throwing guilt trips and not just, oh, white man bad. You know, it's until it reaches that point of cultural revolution, you know, it's going to remain broken. So
it's kind of weird, you know. I live in the Philippines, so when I show my wife a lot of these like articles and things, and she'll downright laugh at it. She's like, I can't believe America's come to this. And I was like, I'm right there with you. So James, your wife's also wasn't born in America. Does she have the same reaction?
Oh yeah, she thinks America at large at this point has lost its collective mind. I mean, the way people act in public and the way they, guard their words and take offense at everything, she finds it amusing. And she's not the only foreign relative that I have either. Like my sister-in-law is Chinese, and she's shocked by some of the bullshit she sees on TV and and in the news. It makes no sense to her. I don't think it makes sense
Chinese,
to anyone who didn't grow up with it. So.
The Chinese have a word for it. It's called baitsua. And baitsua means white leftist. Yeah, it's their term. SJW is baitsua. And they laugh at it. They think it's absolutely hilarious. They see these crazy hipster white people, extreme left-wing white people over there being offended for them. And they think it's hilarious. What was the whole thing with Alita Battle Angel? Oh, they whitewashed the character, and the people in China.
She was Mexican.
What? What are they talking about?
On that note, did you guys ever see that video that went viral? It was a guy walking around with his cell phone in Japan, and he spoke Japanese, and he's like, "Hey, this is the new trailer for Ghost in the Shell. A lot of Americans are upset about this. What are your guys' thoughts?" And then they watch the trailer, and they're like, "This looks great. This looks awesome. This looks just like the animation. This is a good thing. Like I'm looking forward to seeing this when it gets released here." And then he's like, "Oh, all the white liberals over in America are very upset that they whitewashed it." They're like, "Who cares? It's fine. Everything is fine." And then what drives me up the wall is that it's the hypocrisy of it all. Is because Ghost in the Shell was this huge, like, oh, they whitewashed it, blah blah blah. And then we got a Hispanic filmmaker with a Latin female in the film, and they're like, "Oh, it's not diverse enough." It's like, it's a Mexican guy making a movie about a manga. Mm-hmm. I don't know how, like the bad guy's a white guy. Like I don't know how much diverse you can get. It's like.
Yeah,
another thing is this is all about money. I mean, you guys were talking before about the situation's not going to change until enough people say I've had enough of this shit. I mean, Disney had the same problem already with ESPN. And we saw, I don't know, late last year. Disney pretty much restructured all of ESPN. They got rid of the leadership. They got rid of all the worst liberal SJWs that they had on the lineup, and they actually responded to the fact that they had lost 65% of their subscribers. And it forced them to have to revamp ESPN so that it wouldn't go bankrupt. I mean, the same thing will happen with Marvel, with Star Wars, with everything else Disney owns. If they keep going down this path, they'll eventually get to the point where they realize they're going to lose money on it and they'll fix it. Not because they actually believe in changing anything or because they give a fuck about their fans, but they do care about making money. So,
yeah, with ESPN's funny. I used to watch ESPN at a minimum of 2 hours a day, every single day of my life. And so, like maybe 10 years ago, all the stories on ESPN became like female centric. They're all about
human interest stories.
Human interest stories, and I was like, "Why the hell is this even on here?" And then,
why can't we see sports? What can we see sports, please?
It continued along that path with they just continued getting worse and worse, throwing all their SJW causes in their audience face, up to the point where they had lost 65% of their subscribers. That was the breaking point for them, where they realized, if we don't stop this, then this entire part of our corporation is going to go out of business. So
maybe I sound like
a point for Marvel as well.
Yeah, maybe I sound like a boomer here, but You remember when MTV actually had fucking music videos?
Yeah.
Remember when
Yes.
they actually, you know, now and then they turned into human interest. ESPN turned into human interest. You know, it's like they're trying to hook up these women into taking in a product that they don't want to take in, and they're trying to force diversity to pull other people into a product that they're not interested in, and it's just it's broken.
I like
The
to
entire
point out to
system is
people.
broken.
I like to point out to people that it's where SGWs are always kind of coming into a boy-centric, male-centric property, and just being like, "Oh, we need more diversity. We need more women in here," and you know, then they botch it up, and then the fans get upset. But when it's the other way around, like I know some straight men who collect Barbies because they like collecting them. Like, you know, they did it with their mom or whatever, right? And they collect Barbies. And then, you know, in the comic book shop, there's a bunch of bronies who come in and buy My Little Pony, you know, and, you know, there's no men going, hey, you need to change Barbie to be more male-centric. You need to change My Little Pony to be male-centric. No, these men all understand they have an interest in young girl properties, and that's whatever. They're just like, yeah, I'm a weirdo. I like cartoons about horses, you know, whatever.
Yeah, it's because.
Do you know what we need to make? We need to make French fries for people that don't like potatoes. That's the next big thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna fuck with McDonald's and make French fries, and then we're gonna have hamburgers for people that don't like meat.
Well, those are called vegan.
They tried that already when they made McDonald's like put salads on the menu and everybody like nobody bought them.
Exactly.
Salad shit out of here.
I have a coworker who was telling me about vegan eggs, and I was just like, stop it. I don't want to hear this anymore. There's no such thing as vegan eggs. That doesn't make any sense.
You know, it's
So we're coming up on 2 a.m. here in the Philippines. We've been on for almost 3 hours. So I think we got our recommendations out. We got all the topics covered. You know, we did Star Wars for 40 minutes. We talked lots about comics, whatever. So we're going to wrap it up here. And so Pele, where can people follow you if they want to catch up with you?
Just Pele on all social media. Twitter, Just Pele. On Instagram, Just Pele. Instagram, I focus on comics, on back issues. You know, I'll talk about interesting covers, you know, stuff like that. I try to keep politics to a minimum on Instagram because I just keep that mostly just for the artwork of it. Mm-hmm. Twitter, I'm liable to go anywhere. You know, yeah. I'll talk. I'm pretty political on Twitter as well as talking about stuff about the industry and, you know, but yeah, you can find me on Twitter and find me on Instagram, Just Pele.
All right. So James, thanks for being on the channel. Where can people follow you?
I'll let you know the next time I'm on. I am about to, you know, wade back into the internet waters. I've been out for a while because of my job. This trip to Afghanistan I'm making next month is probably going to wrap up everything I've been working on for the last year or so. So I'll give my information back out next time we're on.
Awesome. So you're going to be entering the Twitter sphere?
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to wade back into the internet waters.
Nice.
Welcome to hell, sir.
All right. So Bats, thanks for being on the channel. Where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter, where I act like a nuisance, Sgt Bats, because no one knows how to spell sergeant properly. And then you could also find me on YouTube, same thing, Sgt Bats.
And apparently we can find you at the gym as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm here right now.
Yeah, we could tell.
You hear me out of breath? Yeah, I got new content every day on my YouTube channel, and you can go check that out if you like.
Yeah, if you want to check out his Heroes in Crisis 6 review, it's pretty good. You might lose a little bit.
Yeah, I get sometimes a tad angry in my videos, and I just put one out about Gail Simone last night about how she calls women garbage on the first day of Women's History Month.
So yeah, make sure you give Bats a follow if you aren't already. And so, Doktor, where can people follow you, man?
Well, just on Twitter for the most part. I'm at Science Jesus, and I mostly just yell about stupid shit.
Yep, I can vouch for that. I've been following him for a little over a year. That's mostly what I've observed. So I was out last weekend. You know, I was on vacation in Boracay, but I'm back. So we should have another live stream on Saturday. I think I have a couple guys lined up that wanted to be on it. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you for joining us if you've been here the whole time. And we'll see you later. That's all I'm up for.
Later.
Later, guys.